In this tutorial, I'll be using path effects in Inkscape to show you how you can add these decorative elements to your text known as swashes. And to follow along with what I'm doing here, you'll need to download and install this font, which I will have linked in the description below. So let's get started. I'm going to grab my text tool and I'm going to write on the canvas swashes just for this demonstration. And I'm going to open up my text editor. So let me grab my text menu and I'm going to look for that font that I already have installed. Click apply. And I'm going to scale this up a little bit. I'm going to hold control while I'm doing that so that it locks the proportions and preserves the aspect ratio. And what I will do now is I will convert this to a path. So I will go to path, object to path, and I'll split the letters apart. So I will go to path and choose split path. And now it is individual letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the pencil tool to manually draw lines coming off of these letters here. To show you what I mean, I was able to draw a line that comes off the top of this letter H and swoops underneath like that. We can do that with the pencil tool by just drawing a regular plain line, and then we're going to use path effects to make the line look like it's consistent with the style of the text. So I'm going to grab the pencil tool over here. You can access it by pressing the letter P on the keyboard. I'm going to use the regular mode, the standard regular mode for this what I'm doing here. And then over here where it says smoothing, I'm going to set that to 50 for now. You may have to adjust this based on the size of your text on your screen. So I'm going to start with those settings, and I'm just going to click and drag to draw a line like this that swoops around and goes under the text like that. And what you can do now is you can grab your nodes tool and adjust these nodes so that it looks a little more smooth. You may have to delete nodes if you have too many of them. If you drew like a very shaky line, the fewer nodes you have, the smoother of a line you get. So I'm going to try deleting some of these nodes and seeing if that gives me a better result. So I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. And the idea here is that you want this line going consistent with the direction of this part of the letter H. So you want this to be nice and consistent. So let me adjust this a little more. And I'm happy with how that looks. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to adjust this a little bit. So I'll grab my selection tool. I'm going to move this up a little bit. And I may even rotate this around a tiny bit as well, just so it has more of a consistent direction there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the power stroke path effects. So let me open up my path effects menu by going to path and selecting path effects. And I'm going to look for power stroke. So I'll just type in POWE and there it is right there, power stroke. And with power stroke applied, I can grab my nodes tool and you'll see these pink handles now on the path once you apply the power stroke. And you can use these pink handles to change the width of the line at that particular point. So I'm going to make this line a little more consistent with this part of the letter H. If you notice here, there's a little bit of a corner, a little bit of a dip. Don't worry about that. We're going to go correct that later. We're just looking to get a general consistency here. I'm going to take this node and change this as well. You may notice that when you're doing this, you end up with like this sort of effect right here. If you're doing that, then just move the node or move the handle back to the other side of the line and you should have a better result. And I'm going to take this one and bring this one out like that, or I may have to bring this one up. And I'll adjust this a little bit. And the good thing about this is that you can change the direction of your nodes still while you're doing this. So nothing is finalized just yet. So let me zoom out and see how this looks in comparison. You want to make the weight of the swashes consistent with the weight of the letters. So I noticed this is a little too heavy, so I'll bring that down a little bit. There we go. I like how that looks right there. And I'm going to grab my selection tool now, and I'm just going to change the position of this a little more. I may want to rotate this around just a little more just to match the direction of that letter. And I'll bring this down a little bit. And that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to leave that just as it is. And I'm going to come over here and draw another one now. So let me come over here to my pencil tool. And again, I'm going to follow the direction of the letter and just draw my line. You may have to try a couple of times because I just messed that one up right there. I'm going to press Command Z or Control Z to undo that and try again. Okay, that one's a little better. I'm going to grab my nodes tool now and I'm going to delete some of these extra nodes in here. Like I don't need this one. Oops, let me try that again. I don't need that one. And I'm going to adjust these ones a little bit. Okay, so I think that's looking a lot better now. Like I mentioned earlier, the fewer nodes you have, the smoother the line is. So you want to have as few nodes in there as possible. So now that that's done, let me go back to my path effects, and I'm going to apply another power stroke. And now I can grab my nodes tool and adjust the size of the, or adjust the weight of the line. Okay, so let me grab my selection tool now and position this. I'll put this up a little more. There we go, that looks a lot better. And one final touch I'll add here is I'll add another swash to the letter W. So let me repeat that same process. I'm gonna grab my pencil tool, I'll just press the letter P on the keyboard, draw my line. And now I will just reposition this one as well. Okay, so let's address the these little corners that show up, these little inconsistencies where the swashes connect with the letters. To fix that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the swash and then I'm gonna hold shift and select the letter and I'm just gonna unify them together. Before I do that though, I do have to warn you that once you do this, this effect will be finalized and this will become a regular path. You won't be able to change the consistency or the weight of the line or the direction of it anymore without editing the nodes. So just to warn you there, make sure everything looks good before you do this next step, and then go to Path, Union. And now what I'm going to do to smooth this out, I'm just going to grab my nodes tool and I'll just go in there and delete those nodes. And when you delete those nodes, you could take these handles and straighten them out and you have a nice smooth line there. So let me do the same thing over here. I'll delete these nodes and now we have a nice smooth line. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to grab my selection tool. I'm going to select all of these by holding shift and clicking on them, all three objects, go to Path, Union, and I will do the same thing over here. I'm going to delete these nodes out of here. Now, one final thing I wanted to address with this design is that if you notice the tips of these swashes, they end in sharp points, and that's not consistent with the rest of these letters. These letters, for the most part, have rounded caps on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my eraser and erase the ends of these the ends of these points. So there's actually a few ways to do this. For this, I'm just using the eraser. I'm going to grab the eraser tool. I'm going to set the width to 20. Okay, let me try that again. Eraser tool, set the width to 20. And I'm just going to erase off part of this letter right here, like that. And now I'm going to grab my nodes tool. I'm going to select these nodes, get rid of them. Select all these nodes in the middle here. Not the ones on the ends, just the ones in the middle. Get rid of them. And then we could take this line, or take these nodes and pull this out like that. And now we have a rounded cap on there. Like I said, there's various ways to do this. You can draw a Bezier path and do a path difference and then reshape it this way. But this is just the way I'm doing it for this tutorial. I'm just using the eraser. I'll do the same thing over here. You have to select the object first, then grab the eraser, and then you can draw right through there and erase that off. So I'll just go through and erase this. And there we go, that looks a lot more consistent with the rest of the letters. So I think that should do it for this tutorial. That's how you can take text and add some decorative elements known as swashes to it using path effects in Inkscape. If you found this lesson useful, then consider checking out my Inkscape Masterclass. It's a collection of over 60 videos where I go over all of the tools and features in Inkscape, and I explain what they are and demonstrate how they work. Kind of like how I did in this video. We even have a private community where you can ask questions and get help from me anytime you want. And best of all, there's no monthly membership fees. You just pay $17 one time and you're in for life. I'll have some information about that down below if you want to check that out. As always, thanks for watching.